A very warm welcome to all of you. This is the recorded version of the keynote address of the first international webinar organized by the Zoological Society of Assam on 20th of July 2020. I would like to start this address with the words of Thomas M. Malfarina, a famous novelist, which he penned down in a book called After the Pandemic, published by Sunbury Press in April 2020. He notes that World War III has begun. But for the first time, mankind is not at war with his fellow man. Countries are too busy battling an unseen enemy, a bug, a germ, a virus known as COVID-19. How this war will end remains to be seen. At this juncture, it would be really interesting to recall the words of Louis Pasteur, who is regarded by some as the father of microbiology. According to him, if it is a terrifying thought that life is at the mercy of multiplication of minute bodies called microbes, it is a consoling hope that science will not always remain powerless before such enemies. I believe he was being a little bit too optimistic because just 25 years after his passing away, we had the first pandemic of sorts, which was caused by the H1N1 influenza A virus, which took the lives of around 17 to 50 million people. And 125 years after his passing away, today we are facing a second pandemic. The emergence of COVID-19. COVID-19 is an acronym for coronavirus disease that appeared during the year 2019. We know it is caused by SARS coronavirus 2. In December 2019, a coronavirus from a common little bat jumped somehow to a human or maybe a few of them, and we all know that this incident happened in Wuhan city in China, and what followed after that is all living history. On January 30, 2020, the World Health Organization declared COVID-19 as a public health emergency of international concern. On March 11, the WHO Director General referred to COVID-19 as a pandemic. COVID-19 pandemic has today infected the entire human world. This pandemic has today completely shaken our fragile, complex society. Lots of us have died. Lots of us will continue to die either from the virus itself or from the long-term poverty, political and economic dislocation, and our overloaded medical systems. It appears that some aspects of our society will change forever. Now, the total coronavirus cases as on July 19 stood at 14 million around the world, and the mortality rate was around 4.1% and recovery rate around 59%. If we examine the entire distribution throughout the world, well, the smallest circles are 10,000, circle above that is 250,000, and the circle above that is 1 million. So if we look throughout the world, the African subcontinent, Australia, and the New Zealand appear to be the least affected of all the places on planet Earth. India happens to be the third country which crossed the 1 million mark. The only consolation that we have is that the total mortality rate is much lesser than that of the whole world at the moment. It stands at around 2.6%, and the recovery rate too is higher by 4 to 5% from the entire world. Now the point is, how could this happen to us? Deborah Mackenzie, in the book COVID-19, The Pandemic That Never Should Have Happened and How to Stop the Next One, published by Hachette Books in June 2020, says that this is the 21st century. During the 20th century, we defeated most of the viruses we knew about, mostly with vaccines. In much of the world, we have wonder drugs and flush toilets and computers and international cooperation. We can model organisms, we can model the drugs. Then, in that case, how is it that we were so unprepared for this pandemic? Now, before we look into the reasons, let us take a quick overview of the virus itself. Now, the coronavirus, it is an enveloped virus with a large plus-strand ribonucleic acid genome. In animals, it has been reported from several non-human species such as rats, mice, chicken, cattle, turkey, swine, cats, dogs, rabbits, and horses. In these species, the coronavirus infection causes devastating epizootics of respiratory and enteric diseases, and many animals are killed. Human coronavirus, 7 types are recognized. The common human coronaviruses are the alpha and the beta ones, and these are known to cause mild self-limiting respiratory infections in humans, commonly referred to as colds, and this has been known since the 1960s. Only in some very rare cases do these infections go down to the lower respiratory tract in the case of neonates and also in case of people who have comorbidity, but those cases are very, very rare. The main difficulty, it appears, has arisen from coronavirus that basically infect animals and can evolve to make people sick and become a new human coronavirus. The first of these was the severe acute respiratory syndrome SARS coronavirus, which made the jump from bats to humans in 2002. The total infection rate was quite less. That is why perhaps it could not spread too much, and this virus too made its appearance in the Guangdong province in China. The total mortality rate, however, stood at around 10%. The second virus which made the leap from animals to humans was the Middle East Respiratory Syndrome coronavirus, also known as MERS-CoV, and this happened in 2012. It made the jump from dromedary camels, and the mortality rate was quite high, that is, it was around 37%, but luckily it was controlled in around 2014. And today we are under the influence of the coronavirus disease 2019, COVID-19, caused by the SARS-CoV-2, and the infection rate or the spread rate is very high, but still now the mortality rate stands at around 4%. And this virus made the jump from the bats, and it made through the intermediary animals such as the civets and pangolins, which are susceptible to be intermediary between the main host, that is the bats, and humans. Now, COVID-19 virus, we know it came from the bats, but it is not the only virus which comes from bats. There are many: SARS, MERS, Ebola, Marburg, hepatitis C, Nipah, Hendra, Lassa viruses all have emanated from the bats. And these are just a few of the viruses living in bats that are known to cause human diseases. In April 2020, researchers reported 6 kinds of coronavirus previously unknown to science in bats in Myanmar. This adds to the 400 odd already found in China. Now, interestingly, nearly a quarter of all mammal species are bats. Now, for a moment, if you are thinking that doing away with the bats or killing the bats can be a way of controlling the spread of COVID-19, please think again. The bats are the keystone species in many ecosystems. Hundreds of species of fruits depend on bat for pollination, including mangoes, bananas, and guavas. Bats are also essential to the agave cactus used to make tequila wine. The agave cactus is entirely pollinated by the bats. Insect-eating bats can eat their weight in insects every night, especially the brooding mothers. Those meals include disease-carrying mosquitoes. The bats also eat tons of moth, which are major crop pests. No fruit bats means no rainforests, says Andrew Cunningham of the London Zoological Society. And if there are no rainforests, we cannot imagine humanity the way it is or as it survives today on the planet Earth. So, looking for answers, we found the enemy. It is us. How did we find ourselves in this situation? Well, there are many more people, and too many of them have been putting ever increasing pressure on the natural systems to get food and jobs and living space they need. And as we push into the wilderness, we are exposed to new infections, and along with that, we are intensifying food productions in ways that it can breed disease. COVID-19, Ebola, and worse, they come from destroying of forests. Along with it, we have neglected to invest in things that discourage infectious disease, such as public health, decent jobs and housing, education, and sanitation. We didn't realize that there were a lot of viruses we didn't know about, which could jump to us from other animal hosts and cause havoc. The main buzzword out here is spillover. In degraded ecosystems, the remaining animals carry more pathogens than they might in the healthier surroundings because they are stressed or hungry and the germs take advantage. Thus, there is a greater load of pathogens left out in the hosts in the depleted ecosystems, and when human beings come in contact with these hosts, the chances of spillover from the animals to human beings also remains high. The impact of the new pathogens that we unearth, that we bring onto ourselves by destroying of the forests, it gets magnified because of our super sociality and ever increasing global connectedness as we crowd into cities and trade and travel. So once public health fails and contagion appears anywhere, it goes everywhere. Fragmented governing structures, lack of global accountability, and persistent poverty in so many places ensures that failures happen. And when failures happen, the disease propagates, and such a condition has led to the pandemic that we are facing today. COVID-19, the great equalizer. Today we are reminded of the words of the Nobel laureate Martin Luther King. We may all have come on different ships, but we are in the same boat now. That is so very true with reference to the COVID-19 pandemic that we are facing today. COVID-19 does not discriminate. It will attack anyone regardless of fame, fortune, or influence. It does not care. In the eyes of the coronavirus, there is no class system, no hierarchy of power or privilege. All are equally susceptible and vulnerable. So, where does this bring us? We now join the thousands of species in peril because of our impact on our planet. We have been classifying other species as threatened or endangered. It appears that we today ourselves have become endangered or threatened because of our own impact on the planet Earth. If we can reach out the hearts of those responsible for deforestation, if we can educate those in areas where viruses have made the leap from animals to humans and help them find alternative food sources, then we can address the prevention of future pandemics. For please remember that scientists have been warning us for quite some time now that a pandemic is around the corner, and they are also warning us that this may not be the first of the pandemics. There are many more pandemics lurking in the near future. And the only way we can see ourselves out of this is if we invest rightly towards the conservation of forests and the conservation of biodiversity, which alone can help the survival of human race in the future. Thank you so very much.